So today we're going to do a how-to video for the PTO pump on a split-fire 3-point hitch log splitter. You know, compact tractors are hugely popular these days, and while they have good power, they might not have good flow and pressure. So we offer a PTO kit for 2,000 and 3,000 series machines, and today we're going to show you how to hook it up so you're happy with the operation. So here we got a split-fire 3203, and it's got the must-have option, the hydraulic log lifter, which is fantastic. Now, when you get your skid, it's going to come on the back of a truck, or you can pick it up at a terminal, of course. If you have a hydraulic log lifter, it's going to be on top of the machine, strapped to it, and the hydraulic pump will also be screwed to the skid, along with any of the other options or knives if it's a 4-way machine. Now, first thing you want to do is take it off that skid, unstrap it, unscrew it, and the easiest way to hook this up to your tractor is if you have it on a stand of some sort. Now, you can purchase a split-fire stand. This machine is meant to last 20 years, and it's nice to have a good stand to go with the log splitter. But if you don't want a split-fire stand, you can make a good stand out of the 2x4 that comes on the skid as well. You could easily cut that 2x4 into a really stout little stand for this log splitter. And once you got it on the stand, get the log lifter assembled on the machine, and I always hang the pump off of this side of the machine to counteract the weight of the PTO reservoir and the log lifter. So once you have it up on your little stand, you're now ready to get your tractor set up for the install. So after you have your 3-point hitch log splitter on a stand of some sort, you can have a look at the pump right here. So the large gray assembly is the PTO pump itself. We have a large hose, that's the return, and a smaller hose, which is the high pressure hose. This red bracket here is a torque arm along with a holding chain. Now you'll find on your skid, it'll come with 2 additional brackets, which are additional optional torque arms. So we've designed these for, let's say, Kubota BX series, but you know, let's say if you have a compact tractor and this is too large or doesn't fit nicely, you can swap it to one of these here for better fitment of that torque arm. If it's a larger tractor, typically this one here fits really nice, and it's typically the one that most people use. So this Coyote CS2220 hasn't seen a PTO implement on the back of this tractor. So we have the lower arms, our top link, and our shrouding for our PTO shaft, and it is very common on compact and subcompact tractors to have to remove this PTO shroud. Now, some people might say, well, is that safe? And yes, it absolutely is, because this PTO pump is going over the shaft, and when it's spinning, there's no exposed shafts or gears or anything like that. So yes, when you are done, you always need to put the shroud back in place, but it's easy to remove, and in certain cases they flip up on certain tractors. On some tractors it pulls a pin and it comes off, and in the case of this one, it's 4 bolts, which is very simple for us to remove. So after I have my guarding removed of the PTO shaft, I'm going to release my arms so they open up enough. So this one here opens up. This one here, I got to make it a little wider so when I back up, it fits over my crossbar on the Category 1 pickup. All right, these arms are set nice and wide. We're going to go ahead, remove the pump off this here, and if you don't have a log lifter, it's not going to tip over. If you do, it's low enough to the ground in your stand where it's not going to roll off it. So we're going to take this here, and we're going to just nicely put this on the ground just in front of the machine. So right about there, give us some space, just like that. And now we're going to back the tractor up right here, put the PTO pump on, and then from there we can move it up and hook up to the log splitter. We'll take this PTO pump, slip it on that PTO shaft. There we go. And we're just going to take this chain and temporarily wrap it around this link over here, just to keep this away from any interference for the time being. Just like that. So it's just going to hold it there. We're not going to move up and down too much. And from here, we'll back it up and get our lower 3-point arms hooked up to the crossbar. So hooking up a 3-point hitch can be tricky sometimes. In this case, we're using a steel stand, so it slides around the steel stand pretty good. We've got it in between some walls, which makes it a little easier. So in this case, we'll pull the arm out, grab our log splitter, and slide it forward on the arm. A little bit farther. And from there, once you get your first arm on, the second is a little bit easier. On she goes. So from the lower arms, we're going to go ahead and work on the top link. Now, we can pop that out of its holder, swing that out of the way, and in certain cases you might need to crack the lock nut so you can turn the turnbuckle. I do have a pin here, I believe. Yep. And so from there, adjust the buckle, slide it through. All right. Now, if you lift it up and you notice the log splitter is not level, this is how you adjust the level setting on your log splitter. So once you're happy with its position, you can go ahead, take this nut, take it adjustable, cinch it back up, and you're good to go. So we're going to go ahead, pick it up off the stand, move it away a little bit, and then we'll finish up locking the torque arm in position. When you're getting ready to set your machine up, if you have a log lifter, this needs to be on the ground. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and lower this 3-point just so I'm right there. Maybe up a little bit from there. Perfect. Now, remember, this is a regular log lifter height machine. If you wanted to get a higher machine, you could order a 4-inch extended or an 8-inch extended log lifter. So on your 3-point hitch machine, you can set it to whatever height you want to be. You know, if you don't have a log lifter kit, you could put the machine on the ground so you can roll those big rounds up on it and lift it back up so you can split it. So, you know, you have lots of options with a 3-point hitch machine as far as height goes. Every 3-point hitch PTO unit that comes from Splitfire is fully run up. We actually take the machine and we put it on a small tractor and we will run the pump up so everything is primed, ready to go. It's important before you start running the machine, you check to make sure the oil level is at the halfway mark on the sight glass when it's in the up and level position, of course. Alrighty, so the last thing we got to do is get this PTO pump hooked up and ready to go. Now, this PTO pump is being slid up the shaft as far as it can go, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove this chain that we just temporarily put on there before. And as you'll see by looking at this pump, if you look at the very back shaft section, there is going to be an arrow on the bottom that says which way this is going to rotate. So if you're looking at the back, it's going to rotate in a clockwise position. So if you would engage the PTO and this was not hooked up, this pump is going to try to spin with the shaft because obviously there's resistance from the oil. And if this chain was not hooked up, this would want to swing this way in a very uncontrolled motion. Yeah, so this Coyote has lots of space back here, so we're going to keep this angle iron style torque arm on there, but we're going to go ahead and nicely put the chain. We're probably going to put the chain around this top link here, and because we want to keep our tractor in good shape, we're going to use a piece of cloth, or better yet, even a piece of leather or something like that to keep the tractor in nice shape. So, and optimally, we would want to mount the chain in a forward position so that the PTO pump can't slide off the shaft. Now, in this case, we're going to go ahead and just simply take this here, nicely put our piece of cloth over this piece of steel, run the chain up and over, back around, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach it right there. So you can see if I would turn the PTO on now, the pump is going to strain against this chain, and it's got a little bit of return too, so it's not in a stuck position. Now, that being said, this pump over time could vibrate its way back. So what we're going to do to ensure it stays in position is we're going to get a small bungee, and we're just going to bungee it around this red piece to this frame section here. Got ourselves a small bungee. Going to go ahead and clip it around the frame there, bring it around, and we're going to clip it around the frame there. So So even though it's not tight, if this wants to back off, that bungee's not going to let it back off. So right now, this pump is in the perfect position. Bear in mind, we have this chain around this top link bar here, and if we're going to be moving it up and down a lot, we got to keep an eye on that. But a log splitter is going to stay in one position all the time, especially with a log lifter on it. You don't need to go up and down. That's what the log lifter's for. So I'm happy with this connection. But you know, a larger tractor, you're going to hook it up a little differently, sort of thing. In certain cases, you can put this torque arm on this side and have the bracket rest up against this casting here, and you could chain it forward from there. So you can hook this up as long as this chain or this bar is against something very structural, so that once the resistance is applied to the pump, it doesn't go ahead and spin away with the shaft and tear your hoses off. So it needs to be secured both rotationally and forward so it can't come off that shaft. Once we've got that hooked up, we're ready to go ahead and engage the PTO shaft, and we'll start splitting. Everything's fastened, ready to go. On the tractor selection, you'll have to put it on the rear PTO, and from there you can engage your PTO shaft. The PTO pumps are rated for 11 gallons a minute at 540 RPM. Now, every tractor is going to have a rating for 540. If you look at this screen here, it's saying that 540 runs at 3,200 RPM, and that's a true 540 RPM off the back of this tractor. Now, I don't need it to go 11 gallons a minute fast. In many cases, I'm going to be totally happy with this thing running at maybe 2,200 RPM, and that's going to split plenty fast enough for what I need. Of course, you want it faster, you rev it higher, and some people just run these things at a full idle, basically, because they got plenty of power. There's no need to rev it high. So we're going to bump this up. That's 2,200 RPM right there, and that should be good. Okay, so our PTO is now active. We can see the PTO pump spinning, and before we start splitting wood, we'll give it a little inspection. We know this chain is nice and snug now because there's pressure on it. Everything looks good, everything sounds good, there's no weird noises, it's nice and smooth, and from there we can pull the lever and we can start splitting. So yeah, that's forward, reverse, and we have our log lifter here. And just so you know, this is only spinning at 2,200 RPM. This is not running a true 540, so it would go faster at a 540, but for what I do, I mean, I don't need to split too much faster than this. This is plenty fast enough for what I need, so. Looks good, looks real good. Now to turn the machine off, you simply disengage your PTO shaft, lower the RPMs to an idle, and you can go ahead and turn the tractor off. And so that is a how to assemble and install a PTO shaft pump onto a tractor. You know, as far as maintenance goes with this hydraulic setup, it is just a hydraulic system. So we would say in the first 50 hours, change this oil filter to catch any small contaminants from the manufacturing process. And after that, it's every 200 hours, a flush and an oil filter. So, I mean, 200 hours is quite a bit of work. That's, you know, quite a few cord of wood pumping it through this machine. So, you know, if you got more questions about the fitment, or you're installing it and you're just not quite sure, give us a call at the office or shoot us an email with some pictures, and we'll be more than happy to help you out, to troubleshoot and to help you with any questions. Have a good one.